remember the movie Reptile last year, you would surely agree that it was one of the worst crime movies in a really long time, because of its awkward structure and the dragged pacing. But this movie from 2002, called Murder by Numbers, must be said to be in that same category. And it is really a movie that bores you all the way from start to finish. And that is my agenda today, to tell you all about this failure of a movie. The movie, first and foremost, fails completely on the pacing because of the reveals. Basically, we already know inside the first minutes who the killers are. We just do not know who actually dealt the killing blow. So there, on the reveal side, they actually do not make it very exciting. That's also one of the reasons why it is dragged. We have very little to be excited about in the late stages of this movie, where it is all about Sandra Bullock taking on this masculine character approach, where she is called the hyena, and she basically searches for booty calls, getting desperate to be believed, and it is more about a battle to be believed rather than the case at hand, where they use a very generic way to investigate the case, trying to get footprints or puke to match for the description of the killer, to sit through all those investigations. It's also a very boring feat where you never get excited or thrilled in a way, very much like in the earlier mentioned Reptile, but at least there was some more meat on that movie. The characters, also the actual killers, played by Ryan Gosling and Michael Pitt, that plays two characters with a good contrast at least. That should be said, but at the same time you never have too much focus on the pair, and you do not know how they did the killings until very late in the movie. Maybe people will argue that it is just that big reveal you should be excited about, that Justin was the mastermind all along. But if you saw him in the beginning and a meeting between him and Richard in his shady kind of room, you always knew he was the mastermind, and you really do not even need to read between the lines to get that one. That's why it can easily be said that in many ways this movie is highly predictable. Yes, it may be exciting by the end, when they are about to be exposed as the real killers, because in the story you see them confident that they actually has covered their tracks, and Justin has read all these crime books to be prepared, but he is actually the one that chickens out in the end to make that exposure possible. However, at the same time, the run and chase scenes between Sandra Bullock and Ryan Gosling does keep things interesting in the final moments, but the movie lacks that grueling intensity overall. You just see small flashes of it, and mostly the story takes a way more focus on the intrigues and the disbelief between police investigators into how it is done, rather than the actual solving of the case. I really wish this movie had a better pacing, better characters, because I do not like Richard Haywood, Justin, Cassie, or really any of the characters, which is just a very important issue that drags down my overall impression of this movie. It is too much cliche, bad on the reveals, the building up of excitement, and generally a movie that lacks tension and intensity. That's why for me I will give this a 4 out of 10, and it is easily one of the worst crime movies ever to be made.